Welcome to Monk's Temple. Find a comfortable position, wherever you are. Perhaps you're sitting, or lying down, or standing still by a window. Wherever your body is, just for now, let it be. There's nowhere you need to go in this moment, nothing you need to fix or solve. Just this breath. And this one. You've been carrying a conversation in your mind for a long time. A conversation about what was, what should have been, what might be. It plays in the background like a radio station you can't quite turn off. Today, we aren't going to fight that station. We're simply going to learn how to lower the volume, until all that's left is the quiet hum of your own presence. This is a space of gentle unlearning. We're not adding more knowledge to a mind that feels full. We're creating space within a heart that feels heavy. So, let your eyes soften. Feel the weight of your body being held, by the chair, by the floor, by the earth itself. And listen, not just with your ears, but with the quiet awareness behind them. Let's begin. There's a story from my early days that I think of often. I was maybe 22, and I found myself in a period of tremendous friction. Every goal felt like a wall to slam into. Every relationship felt like a negotiation. My own thoughts were a constant critique. I was exhausted, but I believed this exhaustion was the price of a meaningful life. I thought effort had to feel like struggle. One afternoon, utterly spent, I went for a walk along a wide, slow-moving river. I sat on the bank, watching the water. It moved around fallen logs. It gently eroded the soil at a bend. It made no sound of complaint. It didn't stop to ponder the obstacle. It simply flowed. It found the path of least resistance, not out of laziness, but out of profound intelligence. The river knew its nature was to reach the sea, and struggle against the bank would only create chaotic, exhausting rapids. Its power was in its persistence, not its force. Buddhism teaches this with a gentle, unwavering clarity. Our deepest exhaustion so often comes not from life's challenges, but from our posture toward them. We stand like a person trying to push the river in a different direction, convinced we know a better route. We force timelines. We force connections. We force healing, believing if we just push hard enough, peace will finally arrive. But life does not move through pressure. It moves through allowance. A tree does not grow by pulling its branches upward at dawn. It reaches for the sun by being still, by receiving, by allowing the processes within to unfold. When you force life, you are fighting your own nature. You are that tree, trying to command its own growth, and in the striving, you miss the quiet miracle of simply being alive. This forcing creates a low-grade tension that becomes the background of your existence. Even when things are calm, a part of you is braced. You replay conversations, wondering if you said enough, or too much. You mentally rehearse futures that haven't happened. You are physically here, but your mind is a scout, always ahead on the path, or a historian, always behind in the archives. And in that division, you miss the only place where life actually exists, this present moment. Letting life carry you is not passivity. It is the ultimate form of intelligent engagement. It means doing your part with full sincerity, planting the seed, watering it, tending the soil, and then releasing your grip on the sprout. You cannot pull it upward. Your job is to provide the conditions, then step back and allow the intelligence of life, the sun and the rain and the seed's own blueprint, to do the rest. When you stop forcing, something remarkable begins to occur. You notice that situations often resolve in ways you couldn't have engineered. People reveal their truth without your interrogation. Opportunities arise that feel natural, like a door opening on a familiar room, not like a prize won in a battle. Even difficulties feel different. The pain might be there, but you are no longer adding a layer of mental resistance, a story of, "Why is this happening to me?" on top of it. The difficulty is just the riverbank. And you learn to flow. This shift transforms your relationship with yourself. The internal critic, that voice that says, "You should be further along, you should be healed by now, you should know more," begins to lose its authority. You stop rushing your own growth as if it were a project with a deadline. You allow it to unfold organically, season by season. Instead of asking, "Why am I not there yet?" you learn to ask, "What is life showing me right here?" That simple question replaces panic with patience. It replaces self-judgment with a gentle curiosity. Buddhism reminds us that we are part of nature's flow, not separate from it. The path reveals itself step by step, not all at once. When you release the need to see the entire journey before you take the first step, you discover that each moment contains its own guidance. A feeling in your body. A quiet intuition. A closed door that redirects your gaze to an open window. Force creates friction. Flow creates harmony. It's the difference between swimming against a current and turning onto your back, trusting the water to hold you, and floating. The destination is the same, but one journey leaves you breathless and desperate, the other leaves you rested and aware. Life was never trying to resist you. It was waiting for you to stop resisting it. If this gentle turning toward flow resonates with you, if you feel a quiet longing to release the struggle and float for a while, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It's a simple way to keep this space with you, a reminder to return to the riverbank whenever the current feels too strong. Now, let's go a little deeper. We often speak of letting go as a loss. The mind paints a frightening picture, an empty room, a silent phone, a hollow chest. We fear the emptiness. So we fill it with memories, even painful ones. With busyness. With identities that no longer fit us, like clothes we've outgrown but keep wearing for fear of having nothing else to wear. I remember a woman I met many years ago. Let's call her Anya. Anya's home was a museum of a life that had moved on. Every shelf, every wall, was curated with objects from her marriage, which had ended a decade prior. Photographs in specific placements. Art they had chosen together. It was a beautiful home, but it was also a monument. She confessed she felt stuck, unable to move forward, but terrified to change a single thing. "If I put these things away," she said, "it will be like saying it didn't matter. Like I'm erasing him." Buddhism offers a profound and different truth about emptiness. Emptiness is not a void. It is not negation. Emptiness is space. And space is potential. It is the most fertile ground there is. Think of a beautiful, ornate vase, crammed full of withered, dried flowers. Their petals are brittle, their colors faded. They were once vibrant, but their season has passed. They take up every inch of the vase. Now, imagine you have a fresh, fragrant bouquet in your hands, lilies, perhaps, or peonies full of life. There is no room for them. The vase is full, but with what is no longer alive. This is what clinging does. It fills the vase of your heart and mind with forms that have completed their purpose. The love was real. The lesson was meaningful. The joy was true. But its living expression is over. Holding on to the dried husk of the experience doesn't honor it, it prevents new life from entering. Buddhism teaches that nothing leaves your life without purpose. Life does not take things away to punish you. It removes what no longer fits the person you are becoming, to make space for what does. When Anya finally, tear by tear, began to put a few things away, she wasn't erasing her past. She was honoring it by placing it gently on the shelf of her history. She was creating space on the mantle of her present. And in that space, something subtle shifted. She bought a single, simple orchid for a now empty spot. She didn't plan to. She just saw it and it felt right. Later, she joined a community gardening group, something her former life had no room for. The emptiness she had feared did not swallow her. It invited her. It asked her, now that you are not defined by what was, who are you? What do you love now? We suffer because we confuse attachment with belonging. Just because something mattered profoundly does not mean it must occupy the center of your heart forever. Some people come to teach you patience. Some to teach you the courage of boundaries. Some to show you a reflection of yourself you needed to see. When the lesson is integrated, holding on to the teacher creates a kind of spiritual stagnation. The class is over. The bell has rung. Clinging to your desk in the empty classroom doesn't bring the teacher back, it only keeps you from walking out into the sun. What feels like a crushing absence is often a sacred preparation. Life is clearing space within you. Space for a peace that doesn't depend on a specific person's presence. Space for a clarity not clouded by old narratives. Space for relationships that energize rather than drain. Space for experiences that feel like nourishment, not endurance. When you let go instead of chasing what has left, something inside you relaxes for the first time in years. You stop begging the past to return. You stop demanding life explain its removals. In that acceptance, your energy, which was knotted and tight around a memory, simply loosens. You become open instead of desperate. You become grounded in your own being, instead of grasping for an anchor outside yourself. Buddhism teaches that life flows toward openness. When your heart is unclenched, like an open palm, what truly belongs to you can land there, gently, without force, without you having to abandon yourself to catch it. Trust this, if something was meant to stay with the person you are now, it would have stayed with ease. And trust even more deeply that what is meant for you will not require you to cling, beg, or break yourself to keep it. When you allow life to remove what no longer belongs, you are not being emptied. You are being prepared. The vase is being cleared for a bouquet you haven't even imagined yet. Much of our suffering isn't the weight of what has happened. It's the heavier, more insidious weight of what we refuse to allow to be finished. We argue with reality. We live in a silent, constant debate with what is. This shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have left. I should be different by now. The event itself may have lasted a season, but the suffering continues for years because the mind won't sign the peace treaty. It keeps reopening the case, re-examining the evidence, hoping for a different verdict. Buddhism makes a crucial distinction, one that can change everything. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Pain is the sharp sensation of loss, the ache of disappointment, the visceral reality of a broken bone or a broken heart. Suffering is what we add to it. It is the story we tell about the pain, the resistance, the non-acceptance. It is the mind's refusal to acknowledge the chapter has ended, and its desperate attempt to keep writing in a book that has been closed. I think of a man I knew, a kind, talented carpenter named Leo. Leo had a workshop fire years ago. He lost tools passed down from his father, half-finished projects, his sense of security. The pain of that loss was real and deep. But the suffering went on for a decade. He rebuilt the workshop, but he never truly returned to it. He'd walk in and immediately replay the night of the fire. He'd buy a new tool and compare it bitterly to the old one. He was arguing, every single day, with a fact: the fire happened. His life was arguing with a ghost of smoke and ash, and in that argument, he was losing the sunlight of every new day. Resistance keeps you trapped in a loop. Your body moves forward in time, but your mind remains stapled to a moment in the past. You replay conversations that are over. You imagine different endings that will never arrive. You punish yourself with a litany of "if only" and "what if." Your nervous system, listening to this constant alarm, never gets to stand down. Your breath stays shallow. Your shoulders stay hunched. Even in moments of quiet, you feel a background unease. That's not life being cruel. That's you, or a part of you, still fighting a battle that has already ended on the field. Buddhism explains that the mind clings to this fight because it mistakes acceptance for approval, for weakness, for giving up. But acceptance has nothing to do with agreeing that the fire was good, or the loss was fair. Acceptance is simply seeing clearly. It is the profound, courageous act of saying to yourself, "This is what happened. I cannot undo it." That statement isn't passive. It is the most active step toward peace you can take. It turns you from a combatant in a war against reality into a witness of your own experience. And the witness can heal. The soldier in the trench cannot. The moment you stop fighting what is, your body begins its long exhale. Energy that was trapped in the futile effort of resistance. The energy of rage, of regret, of denial, becomes available. It becomes energy for rebuilding. For Leo, the shift came not in a dramatic moment, but in a quiet one. He was looking at a warped, charred piece of wood he'd kept as a reminder. He realized it wasn't a reminder of loss, it was a monument to his own suffering. That day, he didn't throw it away in anger. He placed it respectfully in his stove and lit a fire, a new, controlled, warming fire. He watched the last physical remnant of that night turn to ash and then to warmth. He was, in a tangible way, allowing the past to finally become fuel for the present, instead of a blockade against it. Acceptance arrives in these small, gentle moments. It comes when you allow yourself to feel a wave of sadness without immediately constructing an entire story of failure around it. It comes when you let grief move through your chest like weather, knowing you are the sky, not the storm. When you allow emotions to rise and fall without judging them as wrong or weak, they lose their gripping power. Like a wave that only crashes with force against a rigid cliff, but simply lifts and falls when met with the yielding, deep sand of the shore. Life softens when you stop arguing with it. The past loses its haunting power when you stop demanding it rewrite its ending. Buddhism teaches that peace is not found by fixing every wound from the past, but by ceasing the inner struggle against the fact that the wound occurred. When resistance ends, suffering fades. Not because life becomes easy, but because you finally stop carrying the boulder of what should have been on your back. You put it down. And you are free to walk. We often believe that strength is shown in how tightly we can hold on. To people, to plans, to versions of ourselves. We fear that to release our grip is to lose control, to become vulnerable, to float away into meaninglessness. But Buddhism invites us to reimagine this entirely. Imagine a kite. A beautiful, intricate kite, painted with your hopes and dreams. Now imagine you hold the string in a fist so tight your knuckles are white. You are afraid of the wind. You pull the string taut, anchoring the kite close to you, just above your head. What happens? It flaps, struggles, dives. It never flies. It exists in a state of tense, frustrated potential. This is clinging. It gives the illusion of safety and control, but it denies the kite its very purpose, to fly. Now, imagine you loosen your grip. You let the string pay out through your fingers. You feel the tug of the wind, not as a threat, but as a partner. The kite catches an updraft. It rises. It soars. It dances against the vast sky. You are still connected. The string is still in your hand. But the connection is now dynamic, alive with space and trust. Your control has transformed into partnership. This is letting go. For so long, you may have believed your strength was in that white-knuckled fist. Buddhism reveals that your true power is in the skillful hand that knows when to hold and when to release. The kite flies highest not when it is restrained, but when it is given enough string to find the wind's current. I learned this not from a grand spiritual lesson, but from a child in a park. She was flying a simple diamond kite, and she was laughing. Not because she was controlling it perfectly, but because she was in a joyful dialogue with it. She'd let it run, then reel it in a little, then let it go again. She wasn't afraid of losing it. She was playing with the sky. I realized in that moment how much of my own life I had spent fearfully gripping the string, terrified of the sky's vastness, keeping my dreams safely, and sadly, tethered just within reach. Clinging is fear disguised as love, as loyalty, as diligence. We cling to old wounds because, in a strange way, they have become familiar landmarks in our inner world. We'd rather navigate by known pain than step into the unknown without a map. We cling to people not out of pure love, but out of a fear of the emptiness we imagine their absence would bring. We cling to routines long after they've become cages, simply because the latch is familiar. When you cling, your mind is a vigilant sentry. It is never at rest. It scans conversations for hints of rejection. It monitors your achievements for signs of enoughness. It holds expectations like a checklist, and when life inevitably deviates, disappointment is deep and personal. This mental gripping is profoundly expensive. It consumes your inner resources, leaving you with anxiety, emotional exhaustion, and a soul-deep tiredness that sleep doesn't touch. Buddhism teaches that the mind suffers not because it lacks something, but because it refuses to release something. The emptiness you fear, the sky into which the kite flies, is not a void. In Buddhist wisdom, emptiness means openness. It means freedom from rigid ideas of who you must be, how things must go, what your life must look like. It is the space in which surprise, grace, and authentic movement become possible. Letting go of that rigid string can feel terrifying at first. The familiar tension is gone. The kite wobbles. You feel unmoored. This is why we avoid it. We fear the quiet, the space, the meeting with ourselves without the noise of our attachments to distract us. But Buddhism assures us this discomfort is temporary. If you stay present with it, if you watch the wobble, feel the fear, and keep breathing, the emptiness begins to feel less like falling and more like floating. The wobble becomes a dance. The silence becomes stillness. And in that stillness, a clarity emerges. You begin to see that you are not the kite, the fragile, painted form buffeted by the wind. You are not solely the hand gripping the string. You are also the awareness that witnesses the hand, the string, the kite, and the vast, open sky. You are the space in which the entire beautiful, fleeting dance is happening. And that awareness cannot be lost. It cannot be torn or broken by any wind. From this place, you can love without fear of loss, because you are connected at the level of awareness, not just at the level of form. You can pursue goals without desperation, because your worth is no longer tied to the kite reaching a certain height. You can enjoy relationships without clinging, because you appreciate the dance itself, not just your ability to control the dancer. Clinging promises safety but delivers a life of tension, just above the ground. Letting go appears to risk everything but offers the sky. When you finally loosen your grip, you discover that nothing essential is lost. The hand is still there. The connection remains. But now, there is flight. One of the most liberating truths Buddhism offers is the teaching of impermanence. Anicca. Everything changes. Everything. Not just the leaves on the trees or the weather, but your thoughts, your feelings, your body, your circumstances. We know this intellectually, yet we live in a state of quiet shock and resistance when it applies to our own lives. We want the spring of joy to last forever. We treat the winter of grief as an error, an invasion. I grew up in a place with 4 distinct seasons. As a child, I had a favorite, summer, of course. Endless days, greenness, freedom. I dreaded autumn because it meant the end of that. I would feel a pang of sorrow with the first fallen leaf. I was attaching my happiness to a season, and then fighting the inevitable turn of the wheel. We do this with the seasons of our inner life. We become attached to a feeling, the warm summer of a new love, the bright spring of a success, and when it begins to fade, we panic. We try to tape the leaves back onto the trees. We clutch at the warmth as the chill sets in. Or, we become trapped in a winter, of sadness, of loss, and we believe it is a permanent state. We build our identity around the frost. I am a sad person. This is just how my life is. We stop believing in spring. Buddhism doesn't ask you to like the winter. It asks you to acknowledge it, to respect its presence, and to understand its temporary nature. It invites you to see yourself as the whole landscape, not just the current weather pattern passing over it. The landscape contains the memory of spring, the experience of summer, the release of autumn, and the quiet dormancy of winter. All of it belongs. All of it is part of the cycle. I have a friend, a musician, who went through a long, fallow period. No new songs came. His inspiration felt like a frozen lake. He fought it. He forced himself to sit at the piano for hours, producing nothing but frustration. He labeled himself, blocked, washed up, a failure. His suffering was immense, and it wasn't from the creative silence itself, it was from his furious resistance to it. He was screaming at the winter inside himself. One day, exhausted, he stopped. He put a blanket on the couch, made tea, and did nothing. For days. He watched the snow fall outside his window. He listened to the silence. He wasn't trying to fix it or escape it. He was just being in it. In that allowing, a subtle shift occurred. The winter inside stopped being a prison and began to feel like a deep rest. The frozen lake wasn't dead, it was gathering stillness. And in that stillness, beneath the ice, he began to hear things. Not melodies, but feelings. A deep, resonant hum of loneliness from years ago. A sharp, clear note of an old joy. He wasn't composing, he was listening to the compost of his own experience. When the thaw finally came weeks later, it wasn't a dramatic explosion of song. It was a trickle. A simple, melancholic melody about the quiet beauty of a sleeping field. It was a winter song. He had stopped trying to force summer, and in doing so, he had discovered the unique, stark beauty of the season he was actually in. His creativity didn't return to what it was, it deepened. It now had autumn and winter in its palette, not just spring and summer. This is the gift of letting go, it allows you to move with your own inner seasons. You stop wasting energy demanding that it be July when it's clearly November. You put on a warmer coat. You appreciate the clarity of the bare branches against the gray sky. You understand that the dormancy is necessary for the blossom. Living fully means experiencing each season as it is, without clutching to the last or grasping for the next. The joy of a summer moment becomes infinitely sweeter when you aren't already grieving its end as you experience it. The sadness of a winter moment becomes more bearable, more honest, when you aren't layering it with panic that it will never leave. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is what makes life precious, not meaningless. The flower is beautiful precisely because it will not last forever. The fleeting smile, the temporary comfort, the passing difficulty, they are all notes in a moving song. When you let go of the demand for permanence, you become free to appreciate the poignant, temporary beauty of each note. You learn to sing along with the seasons, rather than argue with them. We all carry a library inside our minds. It's not a quiet, orderly place of learning. It's often a chaotic archive, full of dog-eared, highlighted, passionately annotated stories from our past. Stories of who we are. The story of my betrayal. The chronicle of my failure. The tale of when I was not enough. We visit these stories daily, sometimes hourly. We don't just read them, we relive them. We feel the heat of the old shame, the chill of the old fear, as if the event were happening now. Buddhism helps us see this library for what it is, a collection of narratives, not truth itself. The stories happened. The feelings were real. But you are not the story. You are the awareness that can read the story. You are the librarian, not the book. Letting go, in this light, is not about burning down the library. It is about changing your relationship to it. It's about gently taking a heavily thumbed volume from the current and active shelf and moving it to the historical reference section. You can acknowledge it exists. You can even understand it shaped you. But you no longer need to sleep with it under your pillow. I worked with a man once, a brilliant engineer named David, who had a story titled "The Presentation That Ruined My Career." It happened 15 years prior. He'd stumbled, lost his train of thought in front of senior leadership. It was a bad day. But in his mind, it was a defining catastrophe. Every new project was filtered through this story. Don't mess up like you did then. Every compliment was deflected. If they only knew about the presentation, he was living a life haunted by a ghost from a past meeting room. One day, I asked him a simple question. If you saw a younger colleague have that exact experience tomorrow, what would you think of him? Would you think his career was over? Would you define him by that half hour? He was silent for a long time. Of course not, he finally said. I'd tell him it happens to everyone. I'd tell him to learn from it and move on. In that moment, David the librarian met David the character in the story. And the librarian realized he had been punishing the character for a crime no one else even remembered. This is the heart of self-compassion in Buddhism. It is the application of wisdom to your own narrative. It is not self-indulgence or excuse-making. It is the honest, sometimes startling, recognition that you have been treating yourself with a harshness you would never direct toward another. Holding on to these old stories is a form of quiet self-harm. It keeps your nervous system in a state of low-grade alert, constantly preparing for a repeat of a past event. Your body doesn't know the story is old. It just hears the alarm bells of the narrative and responds, tightened muscles, quickened breath, narrowed focus. You may be physically safe in your home, but if your mind is in that old boardroom, your body is there too, fighting a phantom. Letting go of the story is an act of deep kindness to your entire being. It is saying, that happened. It was painful. But I am not going to live there anymore. I am going to live here. You stop replaying the conversation to prove your innocence. You stop imagining the alternate ending where you were perfect. You stop measuring your present worth by a past moment's metric. This doesn't mean you forget the lesson. You can take the wisdom, prepare more, be kinder to myself under pressure, and leave the pain behind. You can value the lesson without carrying the wound. Buddhism teaches that clinging to regret is a form of self-judgment, and judgment is a wall that blocks healing light. When you begin to move these stories to the reference section, something beautiful happens. Space opens up on your current shelf. Space for new stories. Stories of small resilience. Stories of quiet peace. Stories that don't have a dramatic arc, but have the gentle texture of real life. The day I sat and did nothing. The time I listened without judging. The moment I felt simply enough. Your inner dialogue changes. The harsh, narrating voice softens. It becomes a voice of companionship. That was hard, wasn't it? And here you are. You're feeling afraid. It's okay. Breathe. This is the safety Buddhism speaks of, a mind that has become a friendly place to reside, not a battlefield of old wars. Life begins to respond to this inner shift. When you stop abandoning yourself in the pages of old stories, you become less likely to attract situations where you feel abandoned. When you stop the inner cruelty, your outer boundaries become natural and strong, not brittle walls of defense. The library is still there. But now, you visit it with curiosity, not dread. And most of the time, you're just happy to be in the peaceful, sunlit reading room of the present moment. We spend so much of our lives polishing. Polishing our image, our achievements, our personalities for the world. We want to be smooth, flawless, pleasing to the touch. We hide our rough edges, the strange angles, the places where the original rock is still visible. We believe that to be loved, to be accepted, to be safe, we must become a perfect, gleaming gem. Buddhism invites us to consider a radical alternative. What if the beauty, the worth, the truth is in the unpolished stone itself? Not in its potential to become a jewel, but in its raw, authentic, unique existence. The cracks are where the light gets in, as the poet said. The rough texture is what gives it grip, character, a story. Letting go, here, is the practice of stopping the polishing. It's the exhausting, endless effort to be something other than what you are in this moment. It's releasing the attachment to a future, perfected version of yourself that you believe is more worthy of love than the present one. I carry a small, unremarkable stone in my pocket. It's gray, a little rough, utterly ordinary. I found it on a path during a time when I felt immense pressure to become something, a better teacher, a wiser person, a more serene presence. I felt like a lump of clay that needed constant sculpting. I picked up the stone because it was so plainly itself. It wasn't trying to be quartz. It wasn't ashamed of not being marble. It was a stone, resting on the earth, complete. That stone became a tangible reminder. When I felt the old urge to polish, to hide a doubt, to force a calm I didn't feel, to contort myself into an expected shape, I'd feel the stone in my pocket. Its solid, imperfect reality was an anchor. It whispered, "You can just be this. You can just be here." We are afraid that if we stop polishing, we will be rejected. We believe our rough edges, our insecurities, our past, our quirks, our needs, are flaws that must be hidden. But Buddhism teaches that this constant self-improvement project, when driven by aversion to the present self, is a source of profound suffering. It divides you. Part of you is the polisher, wielding the sandpaper of criticism. Part of you is the stone, being worn down. There is no peace in this relationship. Letting go of the polishing doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you change the motivation from, "I am not enough as I am," to, "I am curious what life will shape from this authentic material." Growth becomes a natural unfolding, like a tree adding rings, not a violent sanding away of your essence. When you allow yourself to be the unpolished stone, several things happen. First, an immense fatigue lifts. The energy you spent maintaining the shine is now available for living. Second, you become real to others. Authenticity is magnetic. People sense when you're not behind a polish, and it gives them permission to put down their own sandpaper. Connection deepens because it is between two real beings, not two curated projections. Third, and most importantly, you begin to meet yourself with a tenderness you might have reserved only for others. You see the flaw, the anxiety, the old wound, the vulnerability, and instead of reaching for the sandpaper, you might simply place a hand over your heart. You might say, "This too belongs. This is part of the stone." That is compassion. It is the end of the civil war within. Buddhism teaches that our true nature, our Buddha nature, is already whole and complete beneath the layers of polishing we call the ego. It is not something to create, but something to uncover. The practice is one of gentle excavation, not aggressive construction. Each time you choose to be authentic over impressive, you are brushing away dust, not carving a new statue. Your life becomes your own. Not a sculpture meant for a museum's approval, but a unique, weather-worn, beautiful stone on the path of existence. Some may pass it by. Others will stop, pick it up, feel its weight, trace its lines, and see in its unpolished truth a reflection of their own. And they will feel less alone. That is the gift of letting go of the polish. You offer the world not a reflection of what it wants to see, but the solid, real comfort of what is. After a heartbreak, a failure, a betrayal, something inside often closes. Not with a slam, but with a quiet, decisive click. It's the sound of trust receding. You may continue to function, to smile, to connect, but a part of you is now guarded. You stop trusting people's intentions. You stop trusting life's benevolence. You stop, most painfully, trusting yourself, your judgment, your resilience, your own heart. Buddhism teaches that this loss of trust is not caused by the initial pain. It is caused by what we do afterward. We cling to the pain. We build a fortress around it. We let the story of that pain become the filter through which we see all future moments. The mind learns, this is what happens. Expect more of this. And so, we walk through life waiting for the other shoe to drop, even in moments of joy. Letting go is the slow, patient process of dismantling that fortress, brick by brick. It is how trust, not as naivete, but as a quiet confidence, returns. Imagine trust as a bridge. After a collapse, you stand on one side of a chasm, staring at the broken pieces below. The memory of the fall is so vivid, so terrifying, that you cannot imagine ever crossing again. So you decide to live right here, on this small ledge of safety. You may even build a little hut. It's limiting, but it feels secure. Letting go is not about blindly running and leaping across the gap. It is, first, simply looking away from the wreckage below. It is turning your gaze to the solid ground under your feet on this side of the chasm. It is feeling your own stability, right here, right now. This is the beginning of self-trust. Then, you might gather some materials. Not to rebuild the huge, elaborate bridge of total dependency on outcomes, but to construct a simple, flexible footbridge. This new bridge is built with different materials, the plank of present moment awareness, the rope of your own resilience, the anchor of your breath. You build it slowly. You test each step. The goal isn't to get to the other side as fast as possible, the goal is to learn that you can build, that you can step, that you can hold your own balance. I witnessed this in a friend who had been financially devastated by a partner's deceit. For years, she didn't just mistrust potential partners, she mistrusted her own ability to manage money, to make decisions, to see clearly. She was stranded on the ledge. Her healing began not with dating or investing, but with something absurdly simple, balancing her own checkbook, by hand, every week. It was a tiny, tangible act of facing the numbers, of being competent, of telling herself the truth about her own resources. Each balanced register was a small, sturdy plank laid down. It was trust in herself, at the most granular level. Buddhism teaches that trust in life grows from this foundation of self-trust. It's not about believing nothing bad will ever happen again. That is naive. It's about knowing, deep in your bones, that you possess the awareness and the resilience to meet whatever does happen. You may not know how you'll handle it, but you trust in your capacity to learn, to adapt, to breathe through it. As this inner footbridge strengthens, your relationship with uncertainty changes. Before, uncertainty felt like standing on the edge of that chasm, the ground crumbling. Now, uncertainty feels like space. It feels like the open air around a secure bridge. It is room for life to surprise you. You stop demanding a guaranteed destination before you take a step. You learn to walk without seeing the entire path, trusting that the next plank will appear, or that you have the skills to place it there yourself. This restored trust changes the quality of your life. You stop living defensively. You don't close your heart at the first sign of risk. This isn't about ignoring red flags, it's about not seeing red flags in every waving hand. You meet each new person, each new opportunity, as itself, not as a mere replay of the past. Buddhism teaches that every moment is genuinely new when you allow it to be, when you don't project the old blueprint onto the fresh sight. Life begins to respond to this open-handedness. Not with grandiose guarantees, but with subtle cooperations. Doors open that you didn't strain to push. Conversations flow where they used to stick. You feel guided, not manipulated. You realize that life wasn't the enemy that destroyed the old bridge. Life is the river flowing in the chasm, the air that supports the birds, the law of gravity itself, neutral, impersonal forces. The old bridge may have had a design flaw. Your new bridge is built with the wisdom of that collapse integrated into its structure. It is stronger for having broken. Trusting life again is a gradual opening, a series of small releases. Each time you choose to breathe instead of brace, to respond instead of react, to step forward in curiosity instead of frozen fear, you reinforce the new pathway. One day, you find yourself in the middle of your bridge, not clutching the rails, but standing freely, looking at the view. The chasm is still there. But it no longer defines your world. You have built a way across, not to a promised land, but to the freedom of movement itself. And in that movement, side by side with life, moment by trusting moment, you are finally living again. We often approach our inner world as a project to be completed. We want to weed out the bad feelings, plant only good thoughts, and create a pristine, orderly garden that will impress others and finally make us feel at peace. We treat our anger as an invasive species to be eradicated. We see our sadness as a blight on the perfect lawn. This attitude turns our own being into a battlefield. Buddhism offers a different way, that of the compassionate gardener. The gardener does not hate the weeds. She understands they are part of the ecology. She doesn't scream at the clay soil for not being loam. She works with it. She tends. She observes. She knows that some plants need sun, others shade. Some need more water, others thrive on neglect. Her goal is not a picture from a magazine, but a healthy, living, balanced ecosystem. Letting go, in this metaphor, is releasing the attachment to being the perfect garden. It is becoming the gardener who tends with kindness, not with judgment. Your mind and heart are this garden. It contains roses of joy, but also thorns of protection. It has dark, rich soil of past experiences, some fertile, some heavy. It has sunny patches and deep shade. The anxious thought is not a demon to be slain, it's a wildflower that has sprung up in a disturbed patch of soil. It is information. It says, here, the ground is packed tight. Here, there is fear. When you are the harsh critic of your garden, you walk through it with a scowl, noting only what's wrong. This rose is not as big as my neighbor's. This corner is full of weeds. This tree is misshapen. Your entire experience of the garden is one of lack and failure. This is suffering. When you become the compassionate gardener, you walk through with a gentle curiosity. You notice the weed, but you don't identify with it. You simply see it. Ah, you're here. You might gently pull it, understanding its roots. Or you might learn it's a medicinal herb you've been mislabeling. You water the dry patches. You prune not out of punishment, but to encourage healthy growth. You appreciate the rose for its own bloom, not its comparison. I try to practice this daily. When a wave of irritation arises, instead of immediately layering on a story, "I'm such an irritable person, I should be more zen," I try to be the gardener. I feel the heat of the irritation in my body. I note it, irritation. Tightness in the jaw. Heat in the chest. I don't water it with more angry thoughts. I don't try to rip it out by the roots with force. I just give it space. I observe its conditions. Often, I find it's growing in the soil of fatigue, or the shade of an unmet need. The act of compassionate observation is like giving it sunlight and air. It often simply wilts, having been seen, not fought. This is the practice of mindfulness in Buddhism. It is non-judgmental awareness. It is letting go of the secondary suffering, the story about the feeling, and being present with the primary sensation itself. Anger is just energy. Sadness is just a heaviness. When you stop fighting them, when you stop calling them names, they lose their power to define your entire landscape. They become weather in the garden of your awareness. They pass through. Tending your garden with compassion also means knowing what to plant. You begin to choose your inputs wisely. The conversations you have, the media you consume, the food you eat, the thoughts you intentionally cultivate, these are all seeds. If you constantly plant seeds of comparison and fear, your garden will be overrun with them. Letting go involves consciously choosing not to plant those seeds. It means turning away from the mental feed that tells you your garden isn't good enough. Over time, this compassionate tending creates a resilient inner ecosystem. The soil becomes richer. The plants, your innate qualities of kindness, patience, courage, grow stronger. Weeds still appear, but you are no longer terrified of them. You have the tools to tend to them. You know storms will come, but the deep roots you've cultivated will hold. The garden never becomes perfect. That is not the point. It becomes alive, dynamic, authentic. It becomes a place you can rest in, a place of beauty precisely because of its wild, untamed, real nature. You are both the garden and the gardener. And in that unity, there is a deep, abiding peace. You are no longer at war with yourself. You are simply tending. And in that gentle act, you are healed. We search for strength in all the wrong places. We look for it in control. If I can just manage every outcome, I'll be safe. We look for it in attachment. If I can just hold on tightly enough, I won't be lost. We look for it in certainty. If I just know the plan, I won't be afraid. Buddhism points gently inward, to a different source. Imagine your true self not as a boat tossed on the stormy sea of circumstance, but as a lighthouse built on a solid rock. The storms still come. The waves still crash against the base. The wind still howls. But the lighthouse does not fight the storm. It does not try to calm the sea. It simply stands. Its light continues to turn, casting a steady beam through the darkness and the fog. Its power is not in changing the weather, but in remaining steadfast, in providing a reference point, a guidance, simply by being what it is. For so long, you may have believed you were the boat, desperately trying to steer, bailing water, fearing each wave. Letting go is the realization that you are the lighthouse. The struggles, the emotions, the changing circumstances, these are the weather. They are not you. When you cling, when you resist, when you force, you are the boat trying to become the lighthouse by nailing itself to one spot in a panic. It's exhausting and impossible. True power, Buddhism teaches, is non-reactivity. It is the lighthouse's nature. The light turns. It doesn't grab at the ships. It doesn't curse the fog. It simply shines. I think of a woman I met who had survived a series of profound losses, job, home, a primary relationship, in quick succession. She described feeling shattered. When she spoke, however, there was a curious steadiness in her eyes. She said, "I feel like everything that could be taken has been taken. And yet, here I am. I am still seeing. I am still breathing. There is something here that didn't go away." In her darkest hour, she had accidentally stumbled upon her lighthouse. Not her roles, not her possessions, not her relationships, but the bare awareness that witnessed the loss of all those things. That awareness was unshakable. Letting go reveals this quiet power that was always within you. It's not the power to prevent the storm. It's the power to know you are not the storm. When you stop identifying with the chaos, the anxious thoughts, the depressive feelings, the fearful stories, you discover the stillness that holds them. You are the space in which the weather of your mind happens. This power changes everything. Fear may arise, but it no longer has the authority to command your actions. It is a gust of wind against the tower. You feel it, but you are not blown over. Words from others may hurt, but they no longer hook you so deeply. They are waves against the rock. You feel the impact, but your foundation remains. You begin to pause in that space between stimulus and reaction. And in that pause, you find your freedom. You choose your response from a place of clarity, not from a place of habit or fear. This is not a cold, detached strength. The lighthouse feels the storm. It is immersed in it. Its strength is in its sensitivity, its resilience. It stands for something: guidance, safety, presence. Your inner lighthouse stands for awareness, compassion, truth. Its light is the light of your own conscious presence. As you live from this place, you stop needing to prove your strength. You no longer seek drama to feel alive, or chaos to feel significant. Your worth is not something you earn through storms weathered, it is something you recognize as your inherent nature, like the lighthouse's inherent stability on its rock. You act not for praise, but because it is true. You love not to secure a return, but because loving is the nature of your light. Life's challenges don't disappear. But now you meet them as the lighthouse meets the sea. You assess without panic. You adapt without losing your core. Buddhism teaches that this flexibility, the ability to bend without breaking, is a power far greater than rigid control. The lighthouse doesn't resist the wind, it is engineered to sway with it, its light unwavering. Letting go does not give you this power. It unveils it. It clears away the debris of attachment, the fog of resistance, and the identification with the boat, so you can finally see the sturdy, luminous structure you have always been. You are not weak for feeling the storm. You are powerful for shining through it. Your light was never out. You were just looking for it in the wrong place, in the distant shore, in the passing ship, in the calm weather. It was always here, turning steadily, waiting for you to remember you are the source. In the very heart of letting go, in the space between the release of the old and the arrival of the new, there is a pause. Not an empty pause, but a sacred, fertile silence. We are so conditioned to fear this pause. We call it boredom, stagnation, emptiness. We rush to fill it with noise, with action, with new attachments, before it can speak its truth. Buddhism reveres this pause. It is the still point at the center of the turning wheel. It is the moment between the in-breath and the out-breath. It is not nothingness. It is pure potential. It is the canvas before the brushstroke, the silence before the note. Letting go, ultimately, is learning to rest in this pause. To not immediately reach for the next thing. To not label the quiet as loneliness. To allow the emptiness to be, and to listen to what it has to say. Our entire lives can be seen as a flight from this pause. We move from relationship to relationship, project to project, distraction to distraction, because to stop is to feel the ground of our own being, and that can be terrifying if we believe there is nothing there. But Buddhism assures us that ground is everything. It is consciousness itself. It is the witness that is aware of the coming and going of all things. It is your true home. I invite you to try a simple practice. The next time you finish a task, send an email, wash a dish, complete a conversation, instead of immediately jumping to the next thing, stop. For just 3 breaths. Do nothing. Don't plan the next move. Don't review the last one. Just be in the pause. Feel the space that opens up. It might feel awkward at first, like an itch to get moving. But stay. Breathe into the gap. In that tiny pause, you may notice a subtle sense of relief. The constant mental propulsion stops. For 3 breaths, you are not a human doing. You are a human being. This is the essence of letting go. It is the continual, gentle return to being, amidst the whirlwind of doing. This practice, extended, transforms your life. You start to find these pauses everywhere. In the red light when you're driving. In the queue at the store. In the moment after you wake up and before you check your phone. These are not wasted moments. They are pockets of homecoming. They are opportunities to let go of the narrative of busyness and touch the timeless presence underneath. As you become familiar with the sacred pause, a deeper trust develops. You realize you don't have to be constantly generating, achieving, or holding on to feel safe and valid. Your existence itself is enough. You are enough, right here, in the pause. This is the ultimate letting go, the release of the belief that you need to be anything other than this aware presence. From this place, life is met differently. Joy is a flower that blooms in the pause, appreciated for its own sake. Pain is a cloud that passes through the sky of the pause, not defining it. Relationships are meetings in the clear space of the pause, not mergers meant to fill a void. Your entire experience becomes lighter, clearer, more immediate. Buddhism teaches that enlightenment is not a flash of light in the distance. It is the simple, profound recognition of the nature of this present awareness, here in the pause. It is always available. You don't have to go anywhere special or achieve anything grand to find it. You just have to stop and notice. So, as we come to the end of our time together, this is the invitation. Not a grand, one-time renunciation, but a gentle, moment-by-moment practice. When you feel the grip tighten, when you hear the old story begin, when you sense the urge to force the river, pause. Breathe. Loosen your hands. Return to the lighthouse of your own awareness. Tend the garden of this moment with kindness. Trust the empty vase. Life has never been your enemy. It has been the river, the sky, the seasons, the weather. It has been waiting, not for you to conquer it, but for you to stop fighting it. To join it. To flow with it. To be the awareness that experiences it all. You were never unloved. You were simply holding on too tightly to feel it. So, loosen your grip. Release what weighs you down, story by story, breath by breath. Trust the movement. What is meant for you will arrive with ease. What leaves make space for something truer. And as you let go, moment by sacred moment, you will discover the most beautiful truth of all. Life has been right here all along, reaching for you, waiting patiently for your hands to open, and your heart to finally come home. Welcome home.